We are going to download interactive.html into the Lesson 12 folder. Whoops. And what this page does is it's going to let the user select colors and fonts and font sizes, and then update the page with their choices. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up in VS Code. And so in order to access the elements that are going to be changing, we need to put IDs into the elements. And let me show you how this page is going to work. So basically, we're going to allow them to pick a background color and a text color and a font and a font size, and hit change, and it'll change all of those things in their page. In order to update with what they pick, we have to put IDs into the various form elements that we are using. So we've got an input element for the color, for the background color, and for the font color. And then we have option buttons for the font typeface and also for the font size. And all of these things need to have IDs. So for the background, we're going to put in an ID of background color. And you'll notice I did a capital C in color. And then for the font, I'm going to put in an ID of text color. And then for the fonts, I'm going to put in an ID of font family. And then for the size down here, I'm going to put in an ID of font size. And then the only other thing I need to change is when they click the change button, I need to call a function that is going to basically grab what they selected and update the page. And we're going to be putting the function into an external file, but it doesn't matter if the file is external or internal. We are simply going to give the button an on-click event handler. So we're going to say on-click equals, and then in double quotes, we are going to have it call the function. And the name of the function is apply changes. And even though we don't have to pass the function any data, because it's going to be accessing those form elements and retrieving what we want to use, we still have to include the left and the right parenthesis. That is required anytime you are using functions, even if you don't pass them anything. So we've got apply changes, capital C in changes, and then we've got the parentheses. So that's all the changes we need to make to the HTML. So I'm going to save that. And then we're going to put the apply changes function into a separate JavaScript file. So let's go to File and New. And right away, I'm going to save this as a JavaScript file because then it will do the proper color coding, indentation, all that kind of fun stuff. And so we're going to call the JavaScript file modifystyles.js. And the .js indicates it's JavaScript. And we're just going to stick it right in the Lesson 12 folder. And the code for this is pretty short. Functions always begin with the word function. And then we've got apply changes, left and right parenthesis. And then we've got curly braces indicating the beginning and ending of the function. And so the JavaScript code to change CSS all begins with document.body.style. Okay, we're going to do this 4 times. So we might as well copy and paste because we're changing 4 things. Okay, so document.body.style is going to let you change the styling. So after you enter style in dot, you basically have to tell it the CSS you're going to change. And if it's just a single word with no dashes, that is awesome because you just key it in. So if we want to change the background, all we have to do is key in background equals. If we want to change the color for the font color, all we have to do is key in color equals. Those 2 are easy. For the font family in CSS, we enter it as font-family. But in JavaScript, you cannot put in the dash because it thinks you're trying to do subtraction. So what you do is you remove the dash and you capitalize the first letter of the second word. So we do font capital F in family. And then for the last one, it would have been font dash size. So we do font capital S size. Okay, so we take the dash out and we just make the next letter capital. That's all you have to do. So this is what we're going to change. This is the JavaScript that's going to apply the change. And now on the right side of the equal sign, we have to give it the JavaScript that's going to go into our page, and it's going to grab the color from the input element here. And the way we do that is we target the ID. IDs are unique. Okay? You cannot or you should not use the same ID in more than one element. So we're going to use document.getElementById. And in parentheses, we have to tell it the ID. So you do parentheses and double quotes. And the first ID was background color. And then because the information is in a form, we have to put dot value on the end. And for some reason, it keeps wanting to change it to node value. So make sure you change it back to value because that is what we need on the end. Then for color, it's document dot, and actually the get element by ID is the same. And then in double quotes, this one was text color. We'll finish that off with the parenthesis dot value. And font family and font size are going to be similar. The only thing that's going to be changing is the ID. So I'm just going to copy this whole line because I'm kind of a lazy typist. And then I'll do it twice here. And then I'm going to change the ID. So for font family, my ID was font family. So I'm just going to double click right in there. Control C to copy. And double click here. Control V, and it'll paste. And then for the font size, I'm going to come over here. Double click on font size and copy. Double click down here and paste. And at this point, I have everything coded, so I'm going to save it. And the last step is to connect this JavaScript file with our interactive page. Because even though we are calling apply changes, we haven't pulled that code into this page. And to do that, right above the closing head, after the closing style, we're going to add the script tag. And we're going to say src source equal, and then we're going to enter the name of our JavaScript file, which is modifystyles.js. So it's kind of like what we do for images where we give it the source. So we're doing the same thing here in our script tag. That will pull in the code and include it in the page before we actually use the apply changes function. So I'm going to save all of this, and we'll come out here and reload our page. And just the first time you do this, I would recommend that you do each one separate. That way you'll know if there's a problem and where the problem is. So I just changed background color. That worked. Now I'm going to change my text. Let's see, I'll pick white and hit change. Okay, so that worked. Let me change my font. And then let me change the size. So that all worked. And let me show you what it looks like if there's a problem. So problems would be typos in the IDs, okay, or typos or misspellings over here in the function. And so let's say I forgot a double quote. Well, first of all, you can tell you got a problem even before you go test the page because it's got a red squiggle. Okay, so red squiggles are bad. So you can go ahead and fix that before you even test your page. Something that's a little less obvious, and I have seen this happen quite often, is so students copy and paste and then they forget to change their ID. Okay, so this obviously is a problem, right? So I'm going to save this and reload my page. And so you're going to go on your merry way here. And you'll make your changes. And then we're going to come down here and it's not going to work. Okay, so it did not change the size. So I go to F12 and I don't have any errors. Okay, and if that happens, obviously there is a problem with font size. So there's only a couple places that you need to look for that. Okay, so look here, check your ID, and then look over here. Okay, well that looks right. Oh, I got font family here instead of font size. So fixing this and saving it and then reloading your page is going to fix the problem. Ooh, black on black. Oh, that's not a good look. Here, we'll try something else. Ha, much better. Okay, so that is the interactive page, and sometimes it is hard to find your errors, especially when you're new to JavaScript. So if you have a problem and you can't figure it out, load the page to the web and then email me and I will take a look.